Hello and welcome to my weekly comic book review. This week I will be reviewing the books that were released on the 15th of August 2012. A short week, so hopefully it'll be a short video for you all. We start off with the Avengers vs X-Men round 10. I've got the I'm with the Avengers variant cover there, and this issue was written by Ed Brubaker, art by Adam Kubert. Then the last issue saw Cyclops find out the Avengers were hiding out in Cunlun, and he turns up to take Hope home. This issue continues that, the main bulk of the issue being the battle between Hope and the Avengers and Cyclops, as Cyclops is trying to take Hope home. We also get insight, we see Emma Frost as her further descent into darkness, and even has her closest followers like Magneto doubting that this is the right way and starting to have their reservations about following the Phoenix Five. But the bulk of the story, like I say, is around the battle between Cyclops and the Avengers in Cunlun, and it is a real turning point in the series. Last issue it looked really bad for the Avengers before SpiderMan stepped up. It did look really bad. This issue again, it's looking bad, but there's a really big turning point, not just the result of the fight, but who steps up. It is a big turning point. One of the things that I really enjoyed with this issue is that, and the last issue, is we're seeing more about the X-Men and their opinion on the Phoenix Five. And in this issue, it's Magneto who's sort of pushed more to the forefront, and we start to see him, the strongest supporter, have these doubts over the Phoenix Five and whether he's on the right side. And also I'm enjoying seeing Cyclops and Emma as they further lose their touch with their humanity and descend further and further into darkness. One of the things I've enjoyed about this book all the way through is just not knowing what's going to happen, and I still have no clue how this is going to end up. Obviously somehow they're going to defeat the Phoenix Five, but with every member they beat, the power goes that of those members goes to the remaining members. So ultimately you're going to end up with one person who's got the full Phoenix Force. So, you know, how are they going to stop that person? Also, the thing that I've been looking at the solicits for some of the Marvel Now books, and none of them mention, that I've seen so far, none of them mention Cyclops, Emma Frost or Hope. So are those characters going to make it out of this story alive? You know, yeah, that is the question I've got at the moment. But I'm enjoying not knowing. I'm enjoying not knowing where this is going and not being able to predict it, which is great. So yeah, this is great. The art, I can't really show you too much. My favourite pictures of the art probably give away too much. It is a battle. They bring this dragon out to battle Cyclops. So you've got that dragon there, if you can see it. Here you've got Magneto on this page here, sort of been held in place by Emma. All in all, you know, the art was really good in this issue. It is Cyclops. This is the beginning of the issue where it turns up in Cunlun. But yeah, all in all, I enjoyed this issue. I think, you know, it's on a good run, and I think it's going to go to a good end. I'm enjoying it, and I give it a thumbs up. Next up, we have my pick of the week, and of course, what else is it but Saga Chapter 6, written by Brian K. Vaughan, art by Fiona Staples. This book just continues its streak of awesomeness. Every issue, it just totally stays on that level. This issue we see our protagonists, Marco, Alana, Baby Hazel and the ghost Isabel, find the rocket ship Forest. But to get a ship they have to give up something that means a lot to them. So Marco decides to give up his sword, which has been in his family for thousands of generations, and he breaks it, and the sword contains magic. You see the magic come out, and then the tree lets them on board and launches into space. Meanwhile, Prince Robot the Fourth is looking for them, and the Will sort of tells Prince Robot that he's going to, because Prince Robot killed the Stork, the Will says, I'm going to kill everybody you care about, then I'm going to kill you. So it sort of adds more depth to the Will, and it connects now the Will and Prince Robot. Prince Robert doesn't take the threat seriously and just carries on trying to find clues to where our protagonists are. And the ending, the cliffhanger of this issue was brilliant. You know, there's so many wacky ideas in this book, but then it's all grounded by this central story of two characters that love each other, but ultimately they've got families that don't get on. And the ending is like, you know, just so grounded in reality. It's really good how it's done. The art, as always, Fiona Staples is brilliant. I just love that panel there when they get to the rocket ship forest. I love that picture. And when they take off, Fiona Staples as well. The way she gets the characters to tell so much emotion from their facial expressions. She's just a really talented lady. And as always, you know, there's some crazy stuff going on. But yeah, a brilliant book. If you're not reading this book, you treat yourself, jump on board. Hopefully soon they'll be bringing out a trade of the first 6 issues. When that comes out, just jump on board and get it. You've got 3 months. They're not going to bring out another issue for 3 months. They're going to have a bit of a break, so it's a great time to jump on board. One of the things that I really love about this book is how they've made all the characters kind of interconnected. And now you've got, like, in recent issues, they've given Prince Robert and the Will reasons why they want to complete their mission. But this issue, they connect the Will now to Prince Robert. He doesn't only want to catch Alana and Marco so he can collect the money and free that young girl who's a sex slave, but also now he wants to get Prince Robert. So, you know, it sort of makes the whole pot, stirs the pot up a bit now, which is good. And it's done in a nice organic way, it doesn't feel forced. The other thing that I really love about this book is nobody's safe. I don't know if it's because it's a creator-owned series, I get that sense, or if it's just how well it's written. But you just know nothing is sacred in this book. Anybody can get it. You know, to kill off like the Stork, who was a character that we were finding a bit more out about, was shocking. So, you know, and we thought the only thing that was safe was the relationship between Marco and Alana, but we've seen in previous issues, even that you can't say is 100% safe. So, and that just for me adds to the enjoyment of it, and I'm just loving this book. It's my pick of the week, and I give it a thumbs up. Next up, we have before Watchmen, Rorschach, issue 1 of 4, written by Brian Azzarello, art by Lee Bergimo. This issue features my favourite character from Watchmen, Rorschach, and Rorschach is on the trail of the drug lord. He wants to stop these drugs getting onto his streets, but it's a trap, and they basically want to take Rorschach out, and it's a setup. Meanwhile, we have this serial killer loose in New York called the Bard, and he kills people and then he uses a scalpel to write poetry on them. So he's being christened the Bard, and we've got that going on, but the main bulk of the story revolves around Rorschach. The art I just loved. There's this shot on the 3rd page of New York City, which I just think is gorgeous. Also, if I can find the page where Rorschach makes his first appearance in the book, I really did like the book. I like the art, and I'm hoping that that they keep the strength up in this book, because there we go. It's really good. My only slight gripe would be the main villain we meet. He introduces himself as Crime, but I don't know, does he mean Crime's his name, or does he just mean that everything that happens in the city or crime comes back to him? I found that confusing, and there was no other mention, unless I missed it, of his name anywhere else in the book. So I hope they clarify that in a future book, which I'm sure they will. Like I say, great art, and I felt Brian Azzarello did a really good job of writing Rorschach as it sounded and felt like the character from Watchmen. Another thing Azzarello did really well was that I feel if you never read Watchmen, you could enjoy this book. You could just pick it up and enjoy it for what it is, a fun comic book. And yeah, so I give issue 1 of Rorschach a thumbs up. Next up we have the Green Lantern. Now this is issue 12, and it, as always, is written by Jeff Johns, but we have a change on the artists. This issue we have two, not one but two artists, Renato Guedes and Jim Calaflore. I'm not a fan of having two artists on a book. I think it can work if you're clever with it. I remember, I think it was issue 1 of Bloodshot, where they had one artist to draw the scenes Bloodshot had with his family, and another artist to draw the rest of the book. So those scenes with his family had that different feel. I think in that way, I think it can work. But when there isn't that split and you have two artists, I don't always think it can. I don't always think it works. Furthermore, I didn't like the art they did anyway. It reminded me a lot of the book of what they've been doing, the art of Secret Avengers, which I didn't enjoy either. So the art on this book I didn't like. The story, however, is great, and they continue to build towards the big Third Army storyline. In the background of this book, we get to see the Guardians of the Universe as they're planning their Third Army and sort of looking at all the main threats that they need to take out and revealing more of their plan. Meanwhile, we get to see Hal Jordan and Sinestro. The Book of Black has took them to Earth, where Black Hand is, and the book, as now Black Hand gets the book, and he's pleased to have the book. As the only Black Lantern, he needs the book with the black, and he opens it up and it says Hal Jordan is not your enemy, and he's like, well, what's this about? What have you done to the book? You broke it. Hal and Sinestro have to battle their way through an army of dead people, while Black Hand is trying to make head or tail of the book, and then the book says Hal Jordan will be the greatest, but we don't get to see the last two lines until the end of the issue, is where we get to see that, and that gets revealed. What is Hal Jordan going to be the greatest of? And the reveal at the end is like, oh my god. The story is going to be concluded in 2 weeks in the annual, and I can't wait. I think Jeff Johns is doing a really good job at the moment building this book up. There doesn't seem to be no buzz around this book. I don't know if because they did the film and the film wasn't so good, and they did a cartoon series and the cartoon series wasn't so good, that I think it's probably killed a bit of the buzz around Green Lantern at the moment, and not so many people are positive on it. I've really enjoyed the work that Jeff Johns has done with this book, and since we've had the New 52, he's sort of put Sinestro and Hal Jordan together, who had always been enemies, put them together as a team, and they've been really good. They've made a really good team. They both have different ways of doing stuff, but I've got this grudging respect for each other, and that respect has sort of been growing, and they do make a really, really good team. And it's something, I don't know why nobody thought of it sooner, because basically Green Lanterns are an intergalactic police force in a way. So, and I can remember TV shows like Chips and T.J. Hooker, where they would have partners on the beat. So you'd think, well, intergalactic, they'd have partners on the beat as well. But hey, so it's a simple idea, but it took Jeff Johns to come up and to do this idea, and it's working really well. Also, the Third Army, I like the build to the story. It has a real feel like it's going to be a big epic storyline, and I'm just looking forward to Jeff Johns bringing it with that story. Like I say, the only thing I didn't like about this issue is the art. It was just the way the faces are drawn. Here's a good example. You look there at Hal Jordan and Sinestro. I just didn't like how the faces were drawn. There's some good shots, like this shot of all the dead people, but I thought that was a really good picture. That was probably my favourite art of the entire book, but the rest of it, I just didn't like the detail on the characters. But all in all, I thought it was a good issue. Let down a bit by the art, but I'd still give it a thumbs up. And we're on to my last book. I might even do a video under 20 minutes. It is SpiderMan issue 691, and this is the conclusion of the whole Lizard story. As always, it is written by Dan Slott, and I think this book encapsulates the whole story, in that the weakness of the story is, I think the strength of the story, there's been some good ideas, but the weakness is those ideas haven't really been fulfilled. They didn't really reach the potential that maybe they should. They don't go anywhere. It's like in this issue you have, because the last issue he turned all the lizard turned all the scientists into lizards, and they were let loose at the end of last issue, but they're not attacking nobody in this issue. And sort of like one of the scientists says, well, lizards and humans aren't natural enemies. And they're like, well, why is the lizard always attacked everybody? And they said maybe that's more to do with the Kurt Connor side of his psyche than the lizard side, which I thought was an interesting hypothesis, and something I would have liked maybe explored a bit further, which it doesn't really go anywhere. The last 2 pages for me made the book. They are awesome. They see the return of a character that I'm just so pleased is back, and I'm looking forward to see some smackdowns coming in the future. And this has got to be building towards issue 700, and that's going to, you've got to think it's going to play a part in that. But the general story, it was a story that it wasn't bad, it just wasn't great. We get the reveal, the new lizard, he ends up having to inject himself. He liked being human, he was going to stay human, but he doesn't want to go to prison, so he injects himself and makes himself into the lizard again. And so Spider-Man has to backle him and put him down. So they have this big battle, and he has to put the lizard down. Now, like I say, the last 2 pages for me what made this book. I enjoyed it. I wasn't blown away from it. I think for me it encapsulates the story. This is done now. Next issue, I think it's the debut of the Alpha character. I think it's next issue. I know they've got it's a big feature issue, so a thicker issue. So, but hopefully now things are going to kick in gear as we count down to 700 and whatever dance slots got planned. But this story was alright, and I think I'd give this issue a thumbs in the middle. That's me done. Under 20 minutes. I'm so chuffed. That's me for this week. I, as always, will be back with a weekly comic book review next week. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, down below there's a thumbs up and a thumbs down. Give me whichever one you think is appropriate. If you want to keep up whenever I upload a new video, and you've got an account here on YouTube, above me should be the subscribe button. Hit it, and in your feed when you log in, it will come up all the videos on your subscriptions, the people on your subscriptions that have downloaded new videos. It will be on there, and you won't have to go searching. It will make it convenient to watch the people you subscribe to. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a good week, and bye for now.